as far as building yourself, you might be in a position that you don't know where you want to go with what you're doing, or you do know where you want to go, but you're trying to break into that market. So sometimes it's going to take you having to put yourself out there, and you're going to have to invest your time. That's like the first investment that any entrepreneur is going to dedicate to anything is their time before anything. They got to choose to say, hey, I want to do this. Time comes first. You might throw some bread at it, but time comes first.
Hello and welcome to the Prepare to Compete podcast. We talk all things VA benefits, real estate, entrepreneurship, and more. And today I'm excited to bring you a very special guest where we're going to be covering entrepreneurship and more, right? So we're going to be getting into that today. We have Mr. Tay Price on the show today. How you feeling today, brother?
I'm good, man. I can't complain.
Absolutely, man. This gentleman here, I've actually been knowing of him, way before he knew me, right? You have a illustrious history here in Las Vegas as far as in the art space and, just doing your thing with music videos, from actually doing photography and different things like that. But the first question I have for you, as far as things that the people may not know about you that you care to share, man, what is, one thing?
The base of my creativity actually stemmed from music.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing that I got into was high school, about 14, 15. I got into producing, and that kind of took me down one road, which led me to another, which landed me into working with cameras. And so, I kind of base everything. I got a whole tat over here that's kind of dedicated to music, to production. I don't do it too much anymore because it doesn't pay the bills, but you know what I'm saying? I started making the majority of my income started coming from the camera work, and so that's where we're at.
And that's sort of how I've came across you in the early days, with you doing music videos. You had a couple rappers that you were working with that I was friends with and affiliated here in Las Vegas, and really have been amazed with your growth and transition. Very excited to be able to work with you with filming the podcast now, and how you actually developed, right, in your entrepreneurship journey. And just, it's really been a case study of mine, right? Because, I saw how you progressed from doing the videography to getting into actually shooting photos. And something that I don't know if you remember vividly, but I remember vividly when you first started doing photos, you were either charging very low or you were trying to do it for free or something. You had like a very unique offer because you knew you were very well known in the space of doing the video production, but you were dabbling into something new. And that's something that's really valuable to kind of share with entrepreneurs when you're transitioning to a new element, and how you actually build your brand while doing that.
Absolutely. I actually speak about that in my ebook. So with photography, videography, putting your time in is how you sharpen your tools. It's how you sharpen your expertise. So you're going to have to do those free shoots or take those shoots at a discount to figure out, one, is this what I want to do? You want to shoot real estate? Well, hit up some realtors, find them. If you don't know any personally, find them on social media, reach out to them. Hey, I would like to shoot your house. You can add free content. With doing that, it's going to allow you to produce content. It's going to allow you to experience it, to see if that's even what you want to do. And then also on top of that, it's going to allow you to stretch your network, because now let's say you do a great job and you shoot something for this real estate agent. They like it. They're going to recommend you to somebody else. So now their network is expanded into your network. And that's kind of just what I used with my mentality with breaking into anything. Was, if I wanted to be in this field, I'm just going to attack that market one way or another. However I have to Trojan horse this situation, I'm going to kick the door in and I'm going to go in there and see what's going on. What's the temperature in the room? What do I have to do to maintain my position to sit in here and stick it, So same thing with fitness. I did that with fitness. I was 120 pounds overweight, I used to weigh 320 pounds. And I knew I needed to get into fitness. I didn't really know how, so I dedicated some time aside to learn how to do that. And within doing that was like, what makes sense? Just align myself with fitness people. So I started shooting fitness. And at these fitness shoots, I just started asking them questions. It's casual conversation. I wasn't interviewing, but I was asking them casual conversation to obtain the knowledge of whatever they had. Oh, so how do you eat? How do you diet? How do you whatever, just asking, trying to get as much information on it that I could firsthand from trainers and from the people. Meantime, I'm shooting them as well, which is pushing me into that market. So it was kind of like two birds with one stone type situation, but you absolutely have to push yourself into the markets and put yourself in the position that you want to be in.
No, that is wonderful, man. That's wonderful. That's a wonderful story. Definitely how I met you. Yeah, you were a big price back then, man.
Big guy, man.
Yeah, you had the dreads about 350.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, I mean, I never wanted to ask you how you did it. I thought you might have had the HIM 500 surgery. I wasn't sure about that. But.
Nah, that was. It's still a journey that I'm on now. It's an ongoing thing, which I knew from the jump, which was. It was a lifestyle change, not to be like generic how people say it's a life, but it's literally a lifestyle. You have to change the way that you organize your schedule, change how you eat permanently, not diet for 3 months, 6 months saying, okay, I need to learn how nutrition actually works for my body. I need to learn how to exercise and just, maintain this. And for me, I call it habit stacking, and it was something that I sharpened. I took it from I was already doing camera stuff, and I was able to wake up and edit and get straight to it. And it was never a problem. So all I did was take that mindset that I had with that and shift it and say, okay, well, with fitness, I just give me an hour, give me that same hour, dedicate that same amount of time, and take an hour and go do this. And when I stopped getting results from doing that, I just figured out a way to intensify what I was doing. So I literally took the same mindset that I was using to edit and sit down or take photos and deal with these clients. I took it and just shifted that habit over to something else and built that up. And here we are 120 pounds later. It's been like 7 years. I lost the majority of the weight in like the first 2 years. And then after that, it was just like fine tuning and moving from there.
Man, congratulations on that,
bro.
man. That's dope. Absolutely. Habit stacking, very important. And it's really, it's really essential to kind of learn and really just develop your brand, right? You
Absolutely.
literally kind of developed a whole brand story around fitness, which is empowering your business. And, with the Prepare to Compete podcast here, we have a lot of veterans that, of course, listen to our podcast. And, about 25% of veterans want to actually start a business, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of advice do you have for the veteran community who are looking to start businesses, and how can they actually use their military experience to kind of help propel their brand to success?
I mean, first off, with the obvious answer would be just do it. Like with anything, if you don't make the attempt to do it, your chances of failing are a lot higher than you just doing it. And also to restructure your mind, which I feel like if you're a veteran, you have a background of resilience. There's things that you've been through and you've learned how to push through. And when you think you're at your lowest, you find a way to push back and bring yourself back up. And it's the same thing with business. You have to give everything a shot. So really it's putting yourself out there. Tell your story the best way you know how at the time. Just start, tell that story, build your brand on it, and work your way out from there. You'll learn as you go. And that's literally the situation. Is you can't really be scared to fail. For me, there really is no failure. It's more of a thing of learning. Failure is if you change your context, change the mindset that you have around failure, and just think of it as lessons, you're never really taking the L besides the lesson. So.
Oh, no, that's wonderful. That's definitely well thought out there and some good strategies. And, with your business that you have here, Genesis Media and Tay Price Films, Tay Price Photography, you are a very renowned expert in the whole content creation and filming and videography space. So for our veteran entrepreneurs, what kind of tips do you have them when they're looking to get into producing content?
Get in front of the camera and again, tell your story. Everybody has their own story. Everybody has a unique story at that. And that's really where you win. A lot of people try to sell you products and products aren't what sells. Stories is what sells. Like Nike doesn't sell you products. Like you buy products, but really they're selling you emotions. They're branding emotion for you. They're selling greatness. You know what I'm saying? So tell your story and pair your story with your product. It's the same thing with Send Deposit. It's something different for everybody for the field that it applies in. You know, for fitness people, they speak on Send Deposit being something that, oh, I go to the gym and I make a deposit. I make a daily deposit because I'm putting in my work. But then you have your freelance photographer, videographer, like myself. I actually created it to be like, yo, stop playing with my time. Like, send a deposit. Like, I've been putting in so much time, and here you are trying to play me to the left. Like, I'm not who I am. Like, I haven't earned the reason why you're hitting me in the first place. Send a deposit, please. You know? And so that's what I started it from. But yeah, it's literally a story that's behind the brand, and that's what resonates with people is the story. So tell your story. Jump in front of a camera. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. If you scroll down social media, it's thousands, millions of people sitting in front of a camera saying what they got to say, and they throw the captions up. But the difference is your story is not their story. Your story is your story, and there's somebody that's going to relate to what you have to say. So just do it.
Absolutely. No, that's wonderful. The art of storytelling is definitely important. And just really leveraging that, right? Just really leveraging that. But and you kind of already touched on it, but how can our military veterans, right, leverage the storytelling and make sure that they still come across authentic?
I mean, tell the real stories. Tell it like it is. Tell what you're really dealing with. I mean, just from the few sessions that we've had and the stories that I hear you guys talk about, the things that I hear you talk about, these are things that that we regular people or civilians, as y'all refer to us, the civilians, we don't really hear that often, you know, like the other side of things. And I have a couple boys that are vets, and I can tell that the things that they deal with, they don't really like to speak on them. And I don't know, I honestly think that it's more of a point of because I'm not a vet. But nonetheless, those stories they're interesting. It's the things that veterans that y'all go through on the other side are things that the average person doesn't go through. And then on top of that, for the vet that might not be tapped into everything else, for them to be able to relate to your content, you tell your story. Again, if we're talking about branding, we're talking about telling stories, and you have a product or whatever it is paired behind it. When you're telling your story and somebody can relate to what it is that you have to say, they're sold. That's the buy-in, you know? So they have the leverage with being able to tell these unique stories that not every individual is living. They're going through trials and tribulations and dealing with things mentally or physically that not everybody deals with on a day-to-day basis, and they're unique, you know. Right, so it's like tell that story.
Yeah, definitely tell the story, and yeah, just be your authentic self, right? It's over 7 billion people in the world now, right. So there is at least a few million people that can really identify with what you're talking about. And they want to hear your story, right? They want to hear that story. They could benefit from that information. Obviously, there's different severities in stories, but don't feel like, oh, well, you know, another veteran may be an amputee, so his story is more profound than mine, so I don't want to tell mine. Don't compare it, whether it's very tragic or whether you feel like it's not as tragic as another story. Somebody is going through that same thing that you went through, and you might be the voice of reason to help them get through a moment or a process. So absolutely tell that story.
100%.
Now, so really appreciate you, man, for kind of departing that wisdom. Actually, we are coming out with the ebook here for the veterans. It's actually called Mission Entrepreneurship, right? And we're coming out with that book. It's going to be pay what you want for that, right? So I'm not going to call this free. I almost slipped out and said it was free. It's not free. It's pay what you want for that content. And we actually have a chapter that covers the branding and digital marketing aspects of things for our veterans that are looking to start businesses. So I wanted you to come on here and kind of touch on some things. And anyone that's looking to reach out to you, whether it be for services or to kind of check out some of your content, where can they actually find you?
Instagram Tay Price. To be honest, Google Tay Price and it'll probably something will pop up. But everything's under Tay Price Photography, tayprice.com. Just to keep it simple, you know what I'm saying? I don't want you to have to work too hard to find it. Or you can go to senddeposit.com or Instagram Send Deposit. You can check that out too if you want to see what the brand's about. Might give you some ideas on how you can brand your own story.
Absolutely, man. Well, thank you for being here with us today. We greatly appreciate it. Definitely check out his merchandise, man. I'm liking the sweater. I need one of those. I got one on order. It's definitely coming soon. Make sure you send the deposits, please, and make sure you always prepare to compete